Rob G, the Seahawks, everybody's talking about the dominance, and of course their dominant performance defensively in the Super Bowl. But is everybody ready to stamp them as one of the all-time great teams?
Guys, we talked about this leading into the Super Bowl last week, right? We mentioned that according to DVOA, which is now the favorite nerd stat when it comes to football, right?
DVAOEA?
What about Dove?
You know what's funny is, Rob, you cover a sport that uses VORP and wins above replacement and all that. That's determining a Hall of Fame career, but you can't say DVOA.
DOVA.
Yeah.
See? I ain't gonna lie, that does
My
sound
Just don't say
baloney has
RBIs.
Start this.
don't.
But anyway,
You are a mess.
DVOA is like the
Stupid.
thing, right? Like where it's like, hey, we don't care about yards per game and the yards allowed per game anymore because the game has shifted so much and the spread out field, whatever. DVOA is the thing. Coming into the Super Bowl, they were ranked 6th all time. They finished Super Bowl dominant performance as we saw yesterday. They are now number 4 all time according to that metric. And it's not just that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They won their 3 playoff games by an average margin of 18.3 points per game, the highest scoring margin in any single postseason since the 2002 Bucks, all right? They finished the year on a 10-game winning streak. They covered the spread at a 75% clip this season. 7 of their wins during their winning streak were by double digits. They were putting belt to ass on everybody in front of them, save the Los Angeles Rams, and even then they beat them twice.
Right.
So, guys, I know that they don't have a top-flight quarterback. I know that their defense has a nickname that you probably never heard of until yesterday. What, if anything, can these Seahawks do for you to acknowledge that this is one of the great teams we've ever seen?
Do it again. And it doesn't have to be a Super Bowl per se, meaning let's say they get to the NFC Championship again, they love losing a tough one to you fill in the blank. The Rams again, the Bears, the Lions, the whoever. The reason
Lions and Tigers and Bears.
Yes. Oh my. The reason that matters, Rob G, is because typically when we talk about the teams that are great, they had a year, 2 or 3 of run. Then that's how they get a nickname, Robert. That's how they get that rivalry.
It's not a one-off. It's not a one-off.
Right.
This is a one-off.
So far, yeah, and obviously for them, they would say, hold that thought. But that's why it matters, Rob G, because this same team was not in the playoffs last year, right? So, all right, are they good? Is this a one-off? Did they just get hot? Will they lose a bunch of players to free agency? Let me see how this works out, because you got to have something. The greatest show on turf cooked, and guess what on that team, Rob? Marshall Faulk got an MVP regular season. Kurt Warner got an MVP, meaning they were good. They were dominant for a few seasons. Went to a couple Super Bowls. That's where you get your name, and we got to remember them. We know about the Cowboys of the 90s. So to me, it can't just simply be where they were really good for a handful of games, throughout the season, and then just went back and they were 10-7 next year, maybe don't even make the postseason, and then we just forget about them. So they have to have, I'm not saying that in a 2 to 3 year run, they got to get back and make some deep playoff runs. Otherwise, it'll just be like, remember that one random team that won, and yeah, okay, cool. There.
Yeah. No, I think we're on the same page there. It's just, and all year long, Rob G, you said they finished with a 10-game winning streak, and even throughout the whole thing, people still weren't buying into them.
That's true.
Like we kept talking about it. How come people don't think that the Seahawks, because they still were questioning Sam Darnold, saying, like they came out of nowhere. Are they going to eventually just have that bad game and lose, and that'll be the end of it? And it never came. So it's hard for me to look at them, and I know. And then some of the other defenses that we talked about, Rob G, that Ravens defense, which was just, that was one of the greatest defenses of all time.
Man.
The other one was
that Bucks team.
The Bucks team. Rob G and I talked about this earlier. They didn't just get they ran balls back. They were scoring, right? And that Super Bowl against your
multiple
Raiders.
Times,
did
right?
they have 3 touchdowns? Did they run 3 back?
That was an obliteration.
That was the first time I think the number one defense played the number one offense, right, in the Super Bowl.
Rich Gannon was the MVP.
Yeah, Rich Gannon had a great year that year.
And they got beat down. And again, look at that team, Rob G. What do you always like to bring up, Rob? That team had been great, wherever you want to call it. Great is if great is only when you win, then they had been really good. They just couldn't get over the hump, right? NFC Championship games, but would lose to the Eagles. They were right there. We knew the names: Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, Rondé Barber, Booger McFarland. They had John Lynch. Their team was insane.
No, they had nothing but
they just couldn't get there. So finally, when they did, you're like,
made the coaching change.
They made it. That's what you always bring up. So then you go, oh, see, we knew they were really good. Now they finally had that shining moment. And then they were good the next year. They just didn't win it all. So they had a nice year run where we're like, ooh, I'm telling you, they're right there. And that's what the Seahawks would need. Because this is they've been bad for 3 years, or at least they had 1 year playoff with Geno a couple years back. But you need more. So if they come back next year, and I'm not even saying they have to win a Super Bowl. But they get to the NFC, it's a really good game, and because then you go, oh, shoot, they might
But
be
you know how the
back
NFL is. They might not make the playoffs next year.
Oh, we see first to worst. Oh, we see the runner-up in the Super Bowl.
We just saw
not
Kansas
even
City
make the postseason all the time.
So is your issue with this team that they just don't have right now what you consider to be the high-end talent that those other teams did?
It's not that the talent, we don't know if it's sustained.
Because you mentioned the Ravens, right? That Ravens defense was awesome. So of the last 26 years now, this Seahawks defense ranks metrically third best during that run. Ravens are 1. The Bucs you mentioned are 2.
Yeah, those two are without question.
The
right?
difference is
Right.
that this Seahawks team's offense blows those other teams out of the water. But you never are going to romanticize this team because it's, well, Sam Darnold is whatever.
No.
Their Super Bowl MVP didn't score a touchdown.
But the point you just made is what makes those defenses even better. Is that they didn't have the cushion offensively or points.
But what about the team in totality?
No. I know what you're saying.
Because this team scores out higher than the Legion of Boom team that everybody seems to love.
Okay, I get that, but I'm just saying, like for those other two that we're talking about,
they had the run game and they could even throw it deep with
right.
Russell. He wasn't quite in his bag.
He wasn't there, right?
2 years later, but
I'm just saying, like when you look at it and go, they didn't have much to work with offensively. They had to hold teams in order to win, and they didn't.
And I'm going to add to your point. The reason why we won't think of this team like that Ravens team, that 01? I'm going to tell you why. That team couldn't allow no daggone Rams team to put up 500 yards on them. They used to tell Trent Dilfer, just score 1 touchdown, we'll win the game.
And that's
literally what they all season long. They would go. If you watch, they did that 30 for 30.
He's right about.
When they giving up no 500
yards. Now you can look it up. I don't know if you can look it up. I doubt either of those two teams ever gave up 500 yards in any game that season.
I know Ravens.
I would be stunned.
That Ravens team.
That.
Remember, they went on a run where, like, if you scored more than 10 points, they were mad at themselves. They shut out. I think they went like a 3 or 4 shutout, something crazy. They went on a crazy run because one guy was like, "I'm not going to leave my roof until a team finally scores on us," and he didn't leave his roof for like 3 or 4 games or something crazy. So for me, those teams, because of that defense, was insane. The sustained success of the names, Rob G, like right now, they have another year. We'll be like, all right, now you know the defensive players' names. You knew Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs and Ed Reed, McAllister.
Who didn't you know?
Yeah, right. You knew our guy Rod Woodson, friend of the show. Like, you knew all of those players. You're like, oh, shoot, that's a beast of a team. And so, what was my man at the middle? Love him. We loved him. Hilarious. Saragusa. It's like you knew those guys. Oh, man, that's a beast of a team. So if this team has 2 years, and again, I'm not even
saying
he was
the biggest sideline reporter I ever saw.
Come on, dude. They ain't even put him in a chair. They're like, just walk around. Just go walk around. Go be big. So I think they need that. They need some character. Saragusa was a character. Ray Lewis was Reverend Lewis, laying people out. Ed Reed was just, I don't know if there's a greater defensive safety. Well, top 3 just defensive.
So Rob G, which one?
I looked it up here. You asked, about the yardage. They gave up 421 to the Jags.
Okay.
Which they though? The Ravens?
The Ravens.
Okay.
And they gave up 524 to the Jetropolitans.
Wow.
Who was on that?
Who was a quarterback there?
Was that Mark Brunell maybe? Or maybe he was a quarterback for the Jags back then?
Testaverde?
Wow.
Might have been.
I think that might have been
But then the playoffs is where they turned it up. They gave up 177 to Denver. Tennessee, because they had MVP Steve McNair, or one of the guys, right? Lit him up for 317. That was the big number for them. Then it was 191 against the Raiders, 152 against the Giants.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
And
a whole Super Bowl game to get up 152.
And this game last night, they had given up 75 yards through 3 quarters, and they took their foot off the gas, and they gave up 200+ in the 4th quarter.
Right, so that
Yeah.
that
So that
kind of
threw it off.
Yeah.
No, they're right. Listen, I watched that
Because if
whole.
they would have pressed it, I know I saw one of the players was like they were mad that they gave up the touchdown.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean that was a couple of 2 back-to-back plays right there. Listen, they're right up there as far as complete teams, Rob G. Special teams, we talked about it earlier. Defensively,
Their kicking and punting game last night.
that
People don't appreciate it, because it's
No.
kicking and punting.
No, the punting
But in
was
a game
huge.
like that, you're like, they pinned him inside the 5 3 times.
Right.
3 times they pin him, and then you can't do it because you can't make a mistake, right? Get safety, so you
Yep.
got to be conservative, and that was huge. Special, but that we all season long we talked about their special teams, from returning it to the other side of kicking it as well. So they're a very, very complete team. And if you tell me they're one of the top 5 or 6, I won't argue with you. But they're not memorable yet. They need more.
All right, 877-99 on Fox, 877-996-6369. Are they one of the all-time great teams? Is that the way you look at them? Kelvin and I have a hard time
Yeah, not yet.
forming our lips and saying that. Thank God Alex is not here.
Yeah, thank God.
Yes.
That was a little crazy. I ain't trying to form my lips. Nothing talking about you. Don't
Okay,
put me in
there
your
you
lip.
go.
Those lip conversations.
Right. Zip your lip.
Yeah, sip your lip.
But where are you? 877-99 on Fox. Maybe you're different. Maybe you think that they are. And maybe you looked at the first 3 quarters and said that's how dominant, and you're not really counting in the last garbage time yards that the Patriots got.
All right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts, and while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share. Do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.